I think right now the biggest challenge is brand awareness and product awareness. Nobody knows who we are, and we're really trying to get the word out there. But once they try our products, they work so fast that part then starts to take on a life of its own. But this initial brand awareness and sort of product recognition is, I think, where we're really starting to kind of hurdle these first steps getting into the US.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wisenetix Podcast. I have the pleasure to have here with me two people for the first time. We're doing this model. Usually it's a one-on-one conversation, but today I have here with me Bianca and Claudia, two sisters that are leading Agranco Corp USA, and we'll share a little bit of their experience and their story and how they got there. So welcome, Claudia and Bianca.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you too. Usually we start asking people like about their experiences in life, who they are, uh, and what their parents, how their parents would describe what they do. Which our audience will learn that that would not be a question that we need to do because it's a family business, right? But I think we could start with a brief introduction on your background. Uh, Whoever wants to start. So.
Sure. So my background, oddly enough, was only in entrepreneurship firms. I didn't plan it that way, but I think it worked out well for me. I was in litigation consulting first for 8 years with, the original founders of that company that were able to grow it and sell it. And then from there, I went to a small family business that manufactured overseas and imported products into the US. So I have that background in sales and operations management and only in entrepreneurship firms. So it really set me up nicely to kind of step in here into my family operation after that.
And then I have a completely different perspective. My first job was at National Geographic. So it was a big company, very legacy company in PR there. And then from there, I transitioned into digital marketing and advertising back in 2008. So some time ago, before the internet and the marketing landscape digitally was what it is today. And
True.
so that was, I came in it was about a mid-sized agency that grew. And so I got to grow with that agency. And by the time I came over here, we were about 100,000 people globally. So quite a different perspective from Claudia.
Yes, and a pretty complementary, especially to what you do today.
Absolutely.
If you're leading a business, there's no way you cannot have some kind of marketing background and also entrepreneurship and a business. So that was a good fit, right? For to not start a company but continue a company. And I think we can start by the starting point, right? Can you tell us a little bit more how you got where you are, why you are today? You both leading Agranco. What happened, and why I didn't need to ask how your parents would describe what you do.
Of course. Well, Agranco was actually started by our father in 2001. And he developed the formulations that we're still bringing to the market today. He was, kind of a madman and a scientist. And he had a long history as a distributor in animal feed additives himself for other companies. And so I think he reached a point where he's like, I'm going to make my own and I'm going to develop and I'm going to export. And he set up, small international distributors. And that's great. We still work with most of them today. Unfortunately, he did pass away in 2017. It was very unexpected. So he was still, working until Friday. And unfortunately, Sunday, he had a heart attack, So it was one of those things that no one saw coming. And well, I don't know. It just put us in the hot seat. The family kind of turned and said, hey, can we figure out what's going on? I mean, we're in the hospital and it's like, he has customers. So there's this surreal experience where you're in the middle of this sort of traumatic state, emotional state, but then there's a very practical side that is the everyday, right? We still always have to get up, take a shower, eat something, even in the face of sort of this life-changing event. And, my mom's like, he has customers. We need to figure out what's going on. someone has to go sit at his computer. And it really started as that first simple step. You know, the family asked me if I could go try to figure it out. And so I did, you know, and from turning on his computer to sort of starting to take one step at a time every day to really dive into the business, see what we could learn. And from there we forged on, and we've made it this far. It's been 7 years. So
And just so it's clear for the audience, you two didn't have any direct involvement in the company.
no, he was a solopreneur, you know, as it says, like a one man show. But the truth is, he was. Now, he did have manufacturing partners and, you know, distribution partners, but no, none of us worked with him.
We grew up around the business, hearing about the business, but not in the business. And so I think, you know, we had some level of orientation, but never a look under the hood.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to talk to Bianca last week, and when I met her, and she told a little bit about this story that we're gonna explore now. And she told me like all you guys had were was the password of to his computer.
Yes, an Excel sheet with customer names. That was it.
Well, at least it's good that he had a sheet with the name. So, and what would you highlight as the immediate challenges that you faced, like the first things that you had to solve in order to make sure that things kept running as they should? Like, what was it?
I mean, there were plenty of. I think it was all challenges, right, from the beginning. But you know, first things first is your customer base. You know, I had to reach out, introduce myself, and inform everybody at the same time that he had passed away. So it was like it was a very difficult few days where I'm calling international clients that don't know me, and informing them of the news, and at the same time trying to keep them as a customer and assure them that the company is going to continue to operate, you know, as it has been. So I think that was the probably the biggest immediate hurdle. And then from there, you know, things do start to fall into place. We were able to retain a lot of the customers, organize the finances, and then learn the products. Jumping into an industry that is so highly scientific and specialized, when that I don't have a background in animal sciences. So every industry I've gone to in the entrepreneurship firms I've been, they've been different. So there's always that learning curve of like diving in and having to figure out what is this industry about, you know? So I think those are the biggest immediate challenges. Keeping the customers, organizing the operations, and keeping the day-to-day going while we could figure out how to move it forward, you know, a year or two later.
And all of that while you're having to deal with grief also, which should not be something very easy.
You know, that's true. I don't think I gave myself much of an opportunity to think about it. Maybe there's a piece of him that I was able to carry with me every day in kind of sitting at his computer and then, of course, complaining about him because I did plenty of that to myself, you know, like, oh my gosh, why did he do this way? What was he thinking? He was so disorganized, or, you know, at that point. But I think that was also kind of maybe a way to keep him alive or keep him with me, you know, throughout. You got to laugh at some of the hardship, right?
Absolutely. And work is such an important part of our lives that we directly connect, our parents' work to themselves. Like, I cannot imagine my parent without imagining like him at work and the things that he does. And as you girls, I didn't grow up in the business, but around the business, and that's a very strong connection that I have in my mind and with him, right?
He worked from home well before the work from home revolution. And so we would often hear him on calls just in the background. You know, it was almost background noise. We learned to tune it out from his office. He spoke very loudly. And so it was almost like he was talking halfway around the world. So he needed to speak even louder. And so I think for some part of the beginning afterwards, I would channel those phone calls and sort of hear him and hear, you know, certain things that I started coming back about what he would say and how he would say them, and different things that I started to incorporate, at least for me in my day to day. Yeah.
Yeah, we learn with them. It's nice. And so you were in this company totally out of nothing with not expecting it, and you probably alone you wanted to keep what he was doing, but you probably wanted also to bring your, I don't know if personality is the not personality, I would say You wanted to bring your vision to the company, right? How was that? How was the learning curve during this transition? And also, how did you manage to navigate and bring your vision to the company?
That it naturally evolved on its own, and I really like that it did. It's not like I sat down, after month one and said, "We need a vision statement." We kind as we sort of in, fell in love with the company, and I really have to frame it that way because at first what you're doing is hard. It's hard, and you're doing it for your family, you're doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the legacy of your, our father, but it's hard. And there's a point where you're going to continue to question why am I doing this? Do I need to do this? And the answer has always been yes. We reaffirm our commitment to no, we're going to do it. We're going to keep doing it. And we started to really deep dive and learn the products. Bianca joined about a year and a half after he passed away. And she came in to really start breaking down what the products are. Because at this point, I've got the sales and the operations going. And as we really started to identify how different our products are with what's available in the market, as we did our research and started to understand the real science behind what he was doing, he created some very novel products that are ahead of their time. So, learning the products was a huge learning curve. But from there, we really started to identify with what these products are trying to do. And so, we do specialize in those multi-ingredient blends for animal feed additives. And a lot of products in the market, they're one ingredient, and they have a specialized one ingredient. And he didn't do that. And he really had a combination of ingredients that are balanced to these perfect ratios so that they have an exact outcome scientifically in the gut of the animal. And so our mission really evolved very nicely, succinctly to improve the food we eat and the earth we inhabit. That is our mission. And, our feed additives, they really do improve the food that we eat. And we also have an Oxynova, it's a bioremediation product. So this one is for reversing the environmental effects of animal farming and organic waste. So as we really, again, fell in love with the formulations and with what they stand to do for animals and what they stand to do for the environment, we live this mission down to not even having business cards. We're very paper free. I mean, we've taken it into our home. I don't even have paper towel in my house. Like, we have taken it to a level where we personally have passionately adopted our mission, and so has our employee team. So improve the food we eat and the earth we inhabit. And our vision is for these products to reach every farmer. And we don't say that from a sales standpoint. Like, oh, sure, you want everyone to buy your product. No, we want our product accessible and affordable for every farmer, not just the big ones, the small ones too. And there's reasons, that we believe that having an impact on the farmer level is ultimately the best way to improve the food that we eat.
And diving a little bit more into product, which is what we're discussing now. First thing, I believe it's much easier for us to get involved in something and really bring the best of ourselves when we believe in what we're doing and we're in love with our products and the work that we're doing. Um, this is a very specific industry, not the only, but a very scientific based industry. How do you guys navigate the challenges? For example, here at Wisenetix, we learned that in order to help suppliers to impact the industry through our content, we need to be very reliable. People need to trust a lot the content we're producing. So we do this in a way that everything is scientific based. Um, we bring people that are respected. We use data that is respected. We connect with great professionals in universities and production systems. Uh, all of that in order to provide reliable content, and also to be, in order, as we are reliable, people rely on the content we produce and the companies we partner with. What are the main challenges you think you guys faced and are still facing today, particularly in this industry, having to sell like very scientifically?
For us, the products have proven track records overseas. And so that's good. So we actually just started to sell in the US market in the fourth quarter of last year. So we're actually brand new to the US market, and our growth strategy now going forward is growing in the US. And so the products we know have strong efficacy because we have university data from overseas, we have customer trials from overseas, and we have third party data from here in the US. So we do have those things. But I'll turn it over to Bianca. But I think right now the biggest challenge is brand awareness and product awareness. Nobody knows who we are, and we're really trying to get the word out there. But once they try our products, they work so fast that part then starts to take on a life of its own. But this initial brand awareness and sort of product recognition is, I think, where we're really starting to kind of hurdle these first steps getting into the US.
Yeah. So I mean, like Claudia mentioned, because the way the industry is, if your products don't work, you will not succeed. And particularly for a smaller company, and I say smaller, by definition, right? Company like ours compared to the big industry players, if our products did not work, I mean, from 7 years ago to now, we would not be here. And our father, right, and his company, the iteration he has had, would not have survived either, right? Particularly the way he had it with the international distributors. I mean, they have options, there's the internet, they have options, and they don't only have US options, right? And so I think number one, the products, because they work so well, and then we have field data, university data, and then producer data. We know that part. And so like Claudia mentioned, the bigger challenge is in cutting through the noise and getting people to care about the data and about the science, right? So and I know we'll talk more about marketing in a little bit, or we can segue there now. The marketing, B2B and direct to consumer are two very different places. And your stakeholder management in B2B marketing, right? You have to message many different ways to many different stakeholders at one organization to sort of build a a sphere so that they can see the full picture, right? If not, each person only has one full picture. And the data part is covered. We have good data, but it's that breaking through the noise and the human connection part and the awareness part that is more of a challenge for us right now. In the US in particular, companies have been doing things for a particular way for a long time. So it's like, how do you get them to reconsider a new option or a different option? And so
we're really trying to reach as the contract farmers, the growers themselves, like, hey, we're here, and this stuff is really going to create value for you, and the price is at a value creating price target. And so that's who we're trying to find, and so we're reaching them, but we really want them to know we're here, we have your back, give this stuff a shot, and then just start asking for it, ask your integrators for it, because it really does work and it really does support their bottom line. It supports their operation so that they see more margin. And that's a big part of our mission for the farmers.
Value creation, right? And we've actually been advised to adjust our pricing. And we're holding the line right now.
Everyone says you're too inexpensive. And I said, we're fine. Yep. Everybody has to win. And that's a big part of our mission. And that's why we want to be priced where we are.
Right.
Awesome. And especially right now, thinking about margins and everything, specific industries are not in their best shape. If you think about the swine industry, for example, the past 2 years have been very tough for producers. It's important for them to find alternatives that are effective, but not necessarily the most expensive ones, right?
Yeah.
And I really liked something that Bianca said, which for me it makes a lot of sense. It's breaking through the noise. There's all companies are there pushing their products, lots of great products out there in the industry, and then you need to find a space. Today we don't fight only thinking in a communication level. We don't only fight against competitors. we fight for general attention, right? People are so, how can I say this, bombard, if that's the word,
Yeah,
by
they're
different,
they're overwhelmed with information.
overwhelmed
That's
with all sorts of
Mhm.
information, and then among that you need to, stand out, and show that you are different, that you have some different value to bring to the industry. Bianca, how do you think that your experience in marketing, through the agencies you've worked in, through National Geographics, or all the other experiences, how do you use these experiences and skills today to break through the noise?
I feel like we could do a whole session just on that, right? From strategy to tactics and everything in between.
it might be a therapy session. Let's
Yeah.
But no, briefly. So I mentioned earlier, right? I started with a digital agency that grew into traditional agency work, right? So we were digital first, and then above the line, which gave me a unique perspective. Because it was digital before digital, the digital landscape looked like what it looks like now. Um, in that growth, I got to work on some amazing brands in a bunch of different verticals. So everything from food and beverage to telecom to automotive. And one of the really amazing things about working at that particular organization is we did everything, and there was a team for everything. And so it really framed a map for everything that is possible in marketing. You Google marketing, you'll get 100 different definitions. You'll get, you have to do it this way. You have to do it. There's noise within the marketing space itself. And so working at this company gave me a really good framework for how all the different disciplines that exist, and then how they all work together. And all with a customer centric approach, right? So you're really building this customer centric um, value, content creation, and messaging strategy, and ways to meet them where they are for how the product can improve their pain points in their lives. um, the other benefit was that I got to work with some very brilliant people. So the role that I was in was a role that dealt with every discipline, and I was able to interact with everybody from strategy to UX, down the creative line to the developers and the QA folks, across different continents. And um, it was, if nothing else, at least I got to build a very robust Rolodex for people to tap in this endeavor right now. So Claudia alluded to it earlier, but one of the challenges when coming from such a large company with, everybody had their own swim lane. Sitting here, I remember when I came on to develop the product information and all those things, I'd ask her a question like, "Oh, where's this information?" She's like,
make it.
"Yeah, figure it out.
It doesn't exist yet.
Figure it out." And so, the benefit about working across so many different verticals as well is that you really are able to learn how to do a deep dive and become a sort of subject matter expert, not necessarily to go build a car or to go manufacture, a Twix, but the you learn how to understand how it all works and how to communicate that to different people from all walks of life and all sorts of positions. And so I think that was a very long-winded answer and a very long training for coming here and putting my entrepreneurial boots on and just rolling with every new thing that came up and every new opportunity, how to package you know what we do so that person could understand how it relates to them, how it really can solve real pain points for their operations, and then always going back to adding value to what they're doing.
Yeah, businesses usually, in general, they can be very complex. So it's not about trying to know everything or how to do things, but know who, right? Who to connect with, being able to integrate, as you said, connect the dots, connect the people that will help you solve your problems, not necessarily uh, um, cover everything. That's something that was a skill that I had to learn with time. We're always like, if you want to do something big, you're not doing it alone, right? So sometimes we want to own everything, be on top of everything, and we start micromanaging or getting to, the roots of everything, when you need to, you know, step out, give some distance, find the right people to help you get where you are. And that's something I think it's very valuable to anyone, a skill that we need to learn as we start getting involved in more complex businesses.
Yeah.
um, and Claudia, when you said, the objective of the company is, improving the food that we eat, right? And also bringing the sustainability aspect to it. I wanted to ask you to dive a little bit deeper on that and how you guys are doing this, because I know that your blends, your ingredients mixes are not only uh, are are feed additives that have also a very important aspect for today's industry, which is to be an alternative for antibiotics, for example. How you're working with that? Can you explain a little bit for us?
Yeah. So we entered the US market with our poultry drinking water line as an example. And this is Avaplex is one product and Nutriplex W is the other. And so we came in with drinking water products because we want to support end users and integrators in being able to apply it today. If I leave you this jar today, you can go apply it today. Changing the feed diet is something that takes a very long time and has, a lot of approval steps, but you need support today. And so, for example, Avaplex, this is for mortality reduction and immune support. There is a problem right now with your poultry barn. You take this off the shelf and you put it in the water today for the next 5 to 7 days, and you will see in 2 days a huge stop in the mortality that's going on. And there's specific diseases that it does help sort of control so that the outbreak can stop that mortality. And when there's mortality, of course, in a barn, that's not only uh, a big problem in the moment, but down the line, you lost a lot of heads, and the more heads you lose, then the less money you're going to make at the end of the day. And for the integrator, that's less from that flock that they're also going to get. So nobody wins when there's mortality. Um, so Avaplex, for example, is a combination of ingredients. It's not just one. It does have a strong amount of microencapsulated probiotics, but it also has dried egg product that serves as natural antibodies. As just to give you an example, and there's even more from there. There's prebiotics, there's citric acid, and essential oil. So there is like several combinations of ingredients that really work, so that when there's mortality happening, this is like a second boost of antibodies. Those natural antibodies that they'll get from the mother hen when they're first kind of in that shell. It's the same kind of jump to the immune system. And it works. Usually we'll get calls that in 24 hours, like, wow, my mortality was significantly reduced. And that's what's nice too about being able to grab it when you need it, put it in the drinking water, and go. Nutriplex W, on the other hand, this one it's really strong for increasing protein utilization from the feed. So they'll get as much from their feed as they can. So it does help with growth. It helps reduce fecal ammonia, which is huge, both in broilers and in layers. Nobody wants, high ammonia in the barns. That doesn't stand, that hurts not just the environment, but respiratory. And foot pads. Foot pad scores, they matter a lot on broiler farms. And so Nutriplex W really helps with that. Now, on the layer side, Nutriplex W is like an egg making machine. This product is incredible. So, with egg laying come about 48 weeks, there's like the peak of production kind of starts to die off, and the hens, for that 6 months after that, they're not making as many eggs, and it starts to decline. When you use Nutriplex W leading up to peak, we actually maintain peak production. We can maintain 90% efficiency until that flock is finished. And that's actually kind of unheard of. So most people won't believe it until they try it, but it's absolutely true. And that's because this has the same kind of strong probiotic, but it has several enzymes. Those enzymes are key to really taking that diet and allowing the birds to use as much of that diet as possible. So it gives them the best, most like optimal performance, basically. And so this is just an example. Now we have a portfolio for every animal line of products similar to those multi-ingredient, solution focused blends. We have for swine, ruminant, and aquaculture. And so we just started with poultry, but our goal is to keep releasing, the entire portfolio over the next 2 years.
Awesome. And out of curiosity here, like the products sound pretty amazing. Do you guys have any specific strategies when it comes to like promoting with I don't know samples or how do you how do you help promoting this? Because if the results are as fast as you say, this is pretty awesome. You can
Yeah.
do you work with samples or anything like that? How do you address?
We definitely can. I mean, we met with several large integrators, and every time we do, we leave them samples. They're usually pretty happy to try them, and they do see results. Now, reaching the grower, that's a different strategy, and that's where she has a lot of the hard work ahead, because we did just get here in the sense we're just entering the market now. But the growers who we really want to reach, because they're the ones that we really want them to try it. Now we are lined up with two very strong distributors in the U.S. We really enjoy the partnerships that we have with them, and they already service the large integrators and layer producers in the country. So we're really happy to be aligned with them. And since we're still the new kid on the block, so the word is not necessarily out there yet on who we are and what the products are. But we do offer samples. Like anybody who can reach out to us if they want to try it, if growers want to try it, they can reach out to us, and we will absolutely find ways to get them samples.
We also have case studies, right? So if
Yes,
we have not just, oh, here's a trial report, we have summarized case studies
from the US from very recently,
from growers themselves,
Mhm.
right? So this isn't a necessarily done in a research facility that is slightly removed from the day-to-day operations of how growers with the hundreds of challenges they face daily operate, right? And so one of our other strategies is that's why to make the product as versatile as possible. So while it can be in the feed, you put it in the drinking water. I mean, farmers deal with so much. It has to be as easy as possible and as effective as possible. And I think that's one of our other
They're very
approaches.
easy.
Yeah,
Very easy to apply.
scoop, mix, and serve.
Yep.
And so uh, poultry producers, where can they find this products?
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, we work with Clearview Enterprises, and they are our main distributor in the poultry sector. And a lot of people already buy from them, but farm stores can also reach out to them to put the products on their shelves as well, because that is a very strong outlet for growers. And on the West Coast and the Pacific Northwest, we work with VSI as well, and they're really big out west. And so same thing, integrators can go to their distributor, the stores can also go to the distributor. We want the growers to ask their stores for the product as well, and that way, the whole chain can reach the information and get the stores, to buy the product and put it on the shelf as well. So
Great. So we covered a little bit about marketing, about product, about the challenges you faced when you started having to lead and manage a company. Uh, Along this way for the past 7 years, right? What would you highlight as the main leadership lessons you both have learned?
interesting. I mean, for me, leadership. I I don't. It's not that I don't think about it very much. I bring a lot of my personal self to my leadership style. I think I reached where I am as a leader from the history that I have in entrepreneurship firms, working very closely with founder owners in my two previous organizations really helped me to understand what I love about leadership, what I respond to, from a leader, and maybe also something that I don't like that much that I want to make sure that I don't do. And I think that experience brought me to where I am today, which I think I lead from a place of high transparency and vulnerability. I think that I'm very much in the team, in the trenches, collaborating from everyone around me, learning from everyone around me. And I hope my goal as a leader, so I hope I accomplish this. I'll have to ask my team, is for them to be an expert at what they do and know that they're bringing their talents to the table every day and teaching me something, because I believe that it's about bringing the right people together to get the job done. It has nothing to do with me.
We have a saying here at Wisenetix, we're hiring. First, we put the people on the bus, the good people, and then we decide where they're sitting. It's important to find good people. Awesome.
And Claudia's being very modest on her in her response. She's a fantastic leader, and I
Thank you.
think the team we have has expressed that time and time
I
again.
appreciate that.
I think it's a family business, right? And so it can be, depending on the family, you never know, right? Something people want to work at or not. And I think our father and mother did a fantastic job. We're more than just us two. We're four siblings. We're the operators though. They did a fantastic job raising us to be very respectful of each other and to be very fostering of each other.
And we're very close.
Yes. And so I think having that, we bring that to the organization, but under Claudia's guidance. And I think, in talking to other team members, they definitely feel like they're part of the family, right? So we call it a family business, not just because we're related, but because everybody does feel like they could call us for anything, work related or not work related, and we will show up like a sibling shows up.
Yes.
That's beautiful. That's very nice. I loved it. And for us to wrap up here, our conversation, it's great, but we're getting to the end. What are your future aspirations for the company, but also for yourselves?
I mean, for the company, we really want to be a player in the US that is known. And it's not about popularity or notoriety. I want our vision to come true, which is for our products to have that accessibility and affordability for the growers. And if the growers can say, oh, I know Agranco, their stuff really works, then I'm happy. I'm really happy with what we would have accomplished for the company. For myself, it's to make this company have that vision.
It's hard to separate. It's hard to separate.
I am fully aligned with what is happening here and with the goals of the company. I don't think I have an identity separate from that, at least not anytime soon.
Awesome. How about you, Bianca? What are your future aspirations?
So I'm also fully embedded in this. I think this is now part of my DNA as well. The DNA metaphor is strong here. But in addition to Claudia's aspirations, we just launched 2-3 weeks ago an extension of these poultry drinking water program products. And so same formulation, we didn't change anything. So the data, the efficacy, it all is there. But we launched it direct to consumer under the name Better Flock. So betterflock.com. You will still find Avaplex. You will still find Nutriplex W. And we did that to support the backyard poultry keeping market.
There's a lot.
Yeah. So a minimum of 16 million households in this country keep backyard chicken for a number of reasons, from pets all the way through providing food for their family and beyond, providing food for their communities, or using it as a small business. Mm-hmm. And so we want to bring the same value and efficacy that we know is behind our products commercially to the backyard poultry market, so that the chickens can live their best lives. And if they're pets, right? I mean, it is so hard. Commercial poultry has its sets of challenges, but it's very measured and very controlled. When you have free-ranging chickens in your backyard, I mean, weather, predators, just imbalanced diets, anything can set them off. And we've worked a lot with some chickens that, mortality is high, believe it or not. It's just at a much smaller scale. And knowing that our products have the power to support these homesteaders and poultry parents, in really just reducing the stress, because it is stressful. It is like raising a baby. It brings me a lot of pride, and it brings me a lot of inspiration to want to keep forging this path, to be able to provide help and support to all poultry keepers and poultry themselves.
Bianca, Claudia, I want to thank you for taking the times for us to meet today and produce a little bit of value to the audience here. And thank you so much for sharing your story.
No,
It
thank you for
was
having us.
great to Usually I'm in touch with people from different company backgrounds, more on the corporation level, and it's really nice to see, as you mentioned, a family business that can provide so much value to the industry as well as other huge companies, and how you guys are putting yourselves into that, and bringing your energy, your love to what you're doing. It was a very nice story to learn. And for everyone that was listening to us in the audience out there, I'd like to thank you for your company, and I hope to see you all in our next episode. Thanks everyone. Thanks Bianca. Thanks Claudia. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.